The Renaissance in England, which may be known as the Age of Shakespeare or the Elizabethan era, was a theatrical historical period that lasted from the time of the Reformation until secular theaters were closed in 1642. This was around the same time when England was considered to be in its golden age of theater and drama. Two of the most prominent historical events which impacted both theater and culture were the Reformation and the Renaissance. The Renaissance, which means rebirth, brought about large amounts of change in cultural, social, and political aspects of Western Europe, including England. Although the changes brought about by the Renaissance were implemented gradually, they still had a profound impact on both the theater and the world as it is today. The Renaissance saw the invention of the Gutenberg printing press in Italy, which made plays and other literature more accessible. It also brought about a more prestigious status for patronage of the arts, which benefited both theater and drama. With the Renaissance era, there also came a turn towards humanism and secularism. In addition to a central love for God, humanism brought about an increased celebration of humankind and a belief in human success. Secularism, which is commonly deemed as anti-religious or anti-Christian, opposed the traditional beliefs of the Middle Ages as it promoted moral and ethical conducts as means to an end instead of being the cause of gaining admission to heaven. Along with the rise in humanism and secularism came the Reformation. The Reformation led to a break from the Catholic Church in England under the leadership of Martin Luther. Because of this religious shift, there was a shift away from the principles of Middle-aged theater's deeply religious characteristics, and a shift towards a culture which not only included technology, but which also included humanism and secularism. These shifts led to changes in theater, which may be seen in the works of the time, like Shakespeare's more secular works, and which can also be seen today, as many plays focus on humanistic and secular elements rather than on central biblical themes. During England's Renaissance, the country was under the rule of Elizabeth I, who is renowned for bringing success and stability to England. Under Elizabeth's reign, religious drama was banned, which promoted the shift towards the secular drama that is still present in theater today. The ban on religious drama is also credited with allowing the arts and literature to flourish, and which opened the way for developing plays and playgoing. The most well-known playwright of the English Renaissance is William Shakespeare. Born in 1564 in Stratford-upon-Avon, although not university educated, Shakespeare is perhaps one of the greatest playwrights of all time. Between the years of 1590 and 1613, he wrote 38 plays, which are largely still performed today around the world. Shakespeare's plays were broken down into three categories: histories, tragedies, and comedies. Some of his most famous works include Romeo and Juliet, Julius Caesar, Antony and Cleopatra, Much Ado About Nothing, and Henry IV. Shakespeare's plays also included the 6 important traits of Golden Age plays, which were an early point of attack, several lines of action or subplots, a large number and variety of incidents, free use of time and place, a large number and variety of characters, and a varied language. It is thought that when Shakespeare passed in 1616, there came a decline in the quality of drama. According to the Encyclopedia Britannica, Shakespeare is considered to have completely transformed the English theater, as he was able to accomplish the unexpected through characterization, plot, action, language, and genre. He used his works to express varying degrees of emotion, and he also had a more insightful interpretation of human nature which differed from that of his peers. In addition to his profound impact on theater, Shakespeare also influenced many prominent writers, such as Charles Dickens and Herman Melville, and he introduced vocab and phrases which enhanced the English language. Although Shakespeare was not considered to be one of the greatest playwrights at the time of his death, over the years, no playwright in the Elizabethan era has achieved admiration equal to that of Shakespeare. Other prominent playwrights during England's Renaissance were Christopher Marlowe and Thomas Kyd. Thomas Kyd is most well known for his play, The Spanish Tragedy. This play is labeled a revenge play and is the earliest piece of effective stage poetry in English literature. Although The Spanish Tragedy was the most popular work of its time, Kyd is more well known for his developments in portraying violent crime and actions on the Elizabethan stage during the Renaissance. This movement links Thomas Kyd to both the works of Hamlet and Titus Andronicus in terms of their characteristics. Christopher Marlowe is revered for breaking new ground in tragedy and creating blank verse. He is often referred to as the father of tragedy, and he is also well known for his works Dr. Faustus and Edward II. Similarly to the works of Thomas Kyd, Shakespeare is believed to have been influenced by Marlowe's works. In addition to the prominent playwrights and historical elements of the English Renaissance, many technical elements of the theater made an impact during this time period. During the English Renaissance and Elizabethan era, two types of commercial theaters opened in London: a public outdoor theater and a private indoor theater. Private theaters were much smaller, more expensive, and despite being open to everyone, they typically drew in London's most elite crowd. In contrast, public theaters drew in much larger crowds, which was partially due to the large size of these theaters. The first public theater was erected by James Burbage in 1576 and had the name The Theatre. Public theaters continued to be built and included the Globe Theatre, which is where Shakespeare's plays were originally performed. In terms of costume design, the dramas of the Elizabethan era rarely used masks, and costumes are more elaborate, symbolic, and similar to the contemporary dress of this time period. Additionally, actors had to provide their own costumes. In the Elizabethan theater, there was no profound scenery and few props, so actors relied heavily on stage directions, body language, and movement on stage as means of delivering a performance and producing a believable character. These characteristics were successful, however, because Elizabethan theater developed the apron stage. The apron stage was a platform which was surrounded on three sides by the audience and required the playwrights to express every aspect of the performance through verbal cues and stage directions. This technical element of English Renaissance theater is especially important as the use of stage directions and effective body language are still critically important to the work produced by playwrights today. Another critically important element of English Renaissance theater was court masks. Developed under the reign of King James I, these masks were allegorical stories which were performed to glorify the king. Masks were made up of three elaborate dances and were performed by professionals rather than amateurs. The most revered mask writer was Ben Jonson. In sharp contrast to traditional Elizabethan drama, the scenic designer and his technical work were the star of the show. The most prominent technical scene designer of the time was Inigo Jones, who introduced the newest forms of painting, rigging, and design to the English drama scene in 1605. Masks are especially relevant to modern theater as they developed the proscenium stage, which is still used today. A proscenium stage is one that has a frame or arc that separates the stage from the rest of the theater, and which is a window through which the play can be viewed. Proscenium theaters may vastly be seen today, as in this image of the Auditorium Buildings Theater in Chicago. Sadly, as a result of a civil war in England, English theaters were shut down in 1642. This led to an increase in mass performances which implemented the characteristics of Italianate staging. This occurrence impacted theater as the Italianate staging was accepted by English theaters when they were able to reopen in 1660. In spite of this, characteristics of the English Renaissance may still be seen as impacting theater and drama today. Elizabethan drama paved the way for secular drama, which is widely seen in contemporary theater. As previously mentioned, elements of the proscenium theater and Italianate staging, as seen in masked theater, is also widely used today. Shakespeare, revered as one of the greatest playwrights of all time, is still studied today both by schools and scholars, and his works are still performed worldwide. William Shakespeare once said, "What is past is prologue." I believe this can be readily applied to the past concepts of Elizabethan drama that have so prevalently impacted the development from traditional theater to its more contemporary form.